Bhagavate Devaya. So there's three parts to any discussion on the Lord. There's always this sambandha, the abhideya, and the prayojana. And in this chapter, sambandha, which is the knowledge of the relationship with Krishna, is given, that we are intimate, loving servants of Krishna. Abhideya is given a lot in this chapter, the practical application, manmana bhavavan bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Engage the body and mind always in Krishna's loving service. And the prayojana, or the goal, so you have the knowledge, you have the action, how to act on that knowledge and reach the goal. And the goal is Krishna. Anything relating to Krishna, the goal is that we will relate to Krishna in intimate, loving friendship. So that is the goal. The goal is not we become one with God or we become God. It is to relate with loving, intimate friendship. That's the goal. It doesn't matter if we're in this world or the next world. The goal is to relate with Krishna in loving friendship. The faithful devotee who, accepting this most confidential knowledge about his or her intimate relationship with Krishna and engaging constantly in the Lord's loving service, is the Lord's dear friend. The faithful devotee who, accepting this most confidential knowledge about his or her intimate relationship with Krishna and engaging constantly in the Lord's loving service, is the Lord's dear friend. So, by this process of engaging in Krishna consciousness, we become Krishna's dear friend. Who is this a picture of? Anyone know here?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes, and?
Prataparudra?
Could be actually.
This Haridas Thakur Prabhuji?
No, he was just like a mendicant. He was,
Is it Vasudev Prabhu?
no,
Ramanand Rai.
Ramananda Rai, yes. Ramananda Rai meeting Lord Chaitanya. This is my understanding. I think this is him. It could be actually Prataparudra also, because the Lord embraces him after, when he's lying there, and then he sings the verse, Tava katham ritam tapta jivanam. The king sings that verse. So the Lord Chaitanya wakes up. He becomes so happy by hearing that. He doesn't see who is there. He just embraces him. So it could be him, but this is, I believe, the section of Ramananda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you know this one? Who went to Lord Chaitanya asking for knowledge about Sambandha?
Sanatan Goswami?
Sanatana Goswami or Rupa Goswami. They both go to Lord Chaitanya with, straw between their teeth, saying that we don't know anything. Please give us this knowledge about Krishna. How do I revive my relationship with Krishna? And this, of course, is, what is Lord Chaitanya doing here?
Gundicha Marjana.
Yeah.
In the Gundicha temple. So, Sambandha, Lord Chaitanya gave knowledge about our relationship with Krishna. Abhideya, he showed by his example how do we act on that knowledge, and in such a way that we will reach the goal, cleansing Krishna's temple, all the while chanting Krishna's holy name, helping the Vaishnavas, the devotees are washing his feet and drinking the water from his feet and drinking the water from each other's feet. And then the goal, prayojana, which is, as a result, we become very dear to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the link to previous chapters, after answering Arjuna's questions in chapter 8, Krishna returns to the topics of chapter 7. Additionally, chapter 8 concluded that bhakti is the best form of yoga. Chapter 9 supplies the specific knowledge required for performing that most confidential yoga. So chapter 7 ended with establishing bhakti as the highest form of yoga. Chapter 8 further emphasized that, saying that if you remember me in devotion at the end, you'll reach to my abode. And now chapter 9 gives us how to actually apply it in our life, how to love God with all of our heart, mind, and soul. Just like in Christianity, it's also said, love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. But how to do that is not clear. But in the Bhagavad Gita, it is being made clear. This is how we do it. This is how we reach that goal. Topics discussed in the 7th and 8th chapters are specifically related to devotional service. And because they bring enlightenment in Krishna consciousness, they are called more confidential. But the matters which are described in the 9th chapter deal with unalloyed, pure devotion. Therefore, this is called the most confidential. Just as pearls are hidden within a shell, or as a king is surrounded by an entourage, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita is nestled in the middle of the conversation, the 9th chapter. Yeah, this is why it's king of knowledge, the most confidential knowledge. Here, Krishna outlines the king of all knowledge and the most secret of all secrets. He explains the very essence of the Bhagavad Gita, the essence of spirituality, and the very essence of our entire being. So the middle 6 chapters, remember, are all about devotion and devotional service, right? And so, 7 and 8, get us going, and 9 then presents the king of all knowledge, which is the most important, the best of all knowledge. So this is the here the breakdown of this chapter. The first 3 talk about knowledge. Krishna explains that the wisdom of this chapter is most confidential. Then inconceivable relationships, text 4 to 10. In this section, Krishna begins to impart knowledge of his inconceivable relationships with the universe. This is his achintya. We were just discussing this a few days ago. Someone asked, how is it possible that Lord Ramachandra can be in this world and at the same time, be able to does he really what was it? Yes, the citizens of Ayodhya. How is it that he can be the supreme personality of Godhead and Mother Sita is Lakshmi, yet the citizens of Ayodhya can misunderstand him? And he's crying in separation from Mother Sita. This is because he is truly God, yet he is also inconceivably feeling separation from Mother Sita, actual separation, though he's God in his inner heart. So, in the same way, Krishna has inconceivable relationships with this world. He's completely one with this world, yet he's also separate. Then, texts 11 to 25 are about non-worship. What is that? Because Krishna appears in a human-like form, some deem him an ordinary human being. Others believe that God manifests innumerable forms represented by the various demigods. So, to this point of Lord Ramachandra, then many people think, oh, he must just be a human being. And these people misunderstand Krishna, or those who worship him in the form of his demigods. In other words, who worship the demigods thinking that they're worshiping him, they do so also in the wrong way. Others cannot perceive of anything beyond this universe. And then Krishna says that he rewards people accordingly, but one who knows the glories of bhakti, which is text 26 to 34, they are the topmost. Because bhakti can only be applied to Krishna, not to any demigod. In the case of a demigod, it's always a business relationship. I worship you if you give me money. I worship you if you give me good grades. But with Krishna, it can be a relationship of unalloyed love, Krishna or his incarnations. To approach God is the most intimate and personal way. One requires the greatest qualification, complete purity of consciousness, without any tinge of selfish motive. Krishna explains that such purity is characterized by complete immersion of mind, body, and words in selfless devotional service. This is Krishna consciousness, and this is the perfectional climax of the Bhagavad Gita. So, this is and this state of bhakti, it starts from what? Here, Krishna explains that this knowledge is state specific. One must be non-envious and faithful to understand it. Faith is not opposed to knowledge, but is actually a prerequisite for receiving it. So someone says, well, I need knowledge. Well, if someone says, if you're faithful, you don't need knowledge. No, actually, faith is the beginning of knowledge. When we have some faith, then we can gain the knowledge. Because we don't have blind faith. We have faith, but it's based upon knowledge. But it must start with some faith. It must start with some faith in the teacher, in the scripture, in the process. Enough to check it if it works. Someone says, well, but that's see already bias. No, just like Prabhupada said, if you go in a laboratory, you must have some faith in order to go into the laboratory to check your knowledge through experimentation. If you don't even have that much faith, then what will we do? Right? What will happen? So this knowledge is state specific. One must be non-envious and faithful to understand it. Non-envious is also very important, not envious of Krishna or his devotees. The summary of this chapter is, Lord Krishna is the supreme Godhead and the supreme object of worship. The soul is eternally related to him through transcendental devotional service bhakti. By reviving one's pure devotion, one returns to Krishna in the spiritual realm. Sorry. So nice. So here we go, text 1 through 3. Because Arjuna is free from envy of Krishna, he can hear and understand this most confidential knowledge. Those who are faithless, however, cannot. But just like we said, Ashratadhana Purusha Dharmasyasit Parampara Aprapyamam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Ashradadhana Purusha. Those who don't have Shraddha, those who don't have faith. Ashradadhana Purusha Aprapyamam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. They keep moving in the cycle of birth and death. This is the problem. So Bhagavad Gita 9.1, it says, Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam. Jnana or knowledge and Vijnana, realized knowledge, both of them are necessary. Not just knowledge, with knowledge and realized knowledge. Just like many people have a lot of book knowledge. Some people in the Gita, we actually have many people, such people in Chicago, because here there's a big like Bhagavad Gita society. They have the whole Bhagavad Gita memorized. I mean, like 10-year-old children have the whole Gita memorized. It's like their thing. It's a whole sanstha based on the Gita. They all learn the Gita. They all learn all the verses. And if you ask them what's the meaning of the verse, they don't know. Or even if they know, they don't know the essence of it. So knowledge is okay. So many people are learned and they have the book and they have the knowledge. But the devotee is the Vijnani, one who has realized knowledge. One whose knowledge is realized. Now this first verse has specific significance. The words idam, jnanam, this knowledge, refer to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated One is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So this is actually, when we're chanting, hearing, it's the stage of jnanam, so that we can get vijnanam. When we hear about Krishna, immediately we don't realize it. We hear it. And then by hearing and hearing and hearing, we get vijnana, we get realization. By remembering and remembering Krishna, memorizing the verses, all these things, we get jnanam. And one day we may see Krishna and get vijnana. One who is situated in the most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that although one who has a sincere desire to render loving service to the Supreme Lord is situated in the conditional state of material existence, he is to be considered liberated. Similarly, we shall find in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, that anyone who is engaged in that way is a liberated person. And then text 2, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukum Kartumavyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. So, this is a very important verse, one that Srila Prabhupada quoted. It has such important themes. First of all, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. Raja means the king of education. So we are very eager to give our children education. Like we're very eager that they should become Harvard scholars and become very, very learned in all the different ways. That is the king of education, Rajaguhyam. But this is the real king of education. We're so keen that they should get education. But what is the king? We engage them in so many types of education. This is the king of education, Raja Guhyam. Furthermore, it's a king of education because it's the most secret. This is where the title gets the title of this chapter. It's the best education, so it's very exclusive. Now, someone may say, but Krishna is impartial. And there are hundreds of thousands of copies, millions of copies of the Bhagavad Gita all over the world. There's hundreds of translations and millions of copies, maybe even billions of copies of the Gita around the world. Just of Srila Prabhupada's Gita, there's been 44 million of his Gitas been published. So maybe over the course of the last 200, 300 years, maybe more than 1 billion copies have been published. So the Gita is widespread. It's available everywhere. So why is it the most secret? In what way is it confidential? It is because not anyone who reads it can understand it. It is the purest knowledge. One has to be pure or hear it from someone who is pure. And because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is a perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. So this is now these last words, Susukum Kartumavyam, it is joyfully performed. Very important words. That pure bhakti must be something that brings us joy. Otherwise, it's probably not pure, it's mixed. If we do it purely, we get tears of ecstasy. We feel so inspired, we feel energized because it is naturally joyful. If it's mixed devotion, then it won't be joyful. But if it's pure, then it will be joyful. So here we see the king of education, the most secret inner realizations of the essence of truth. Pure, it removes unwanted things. It's pure, so it purifies us. It removes unwanted things. Why? Because the Gita is an authorized scripture. Bhagavad Gita 9.2 shows that we can realize these truths by direct perception, and thus shows us that what is taught in the Bhagavad Gita is real and authorized, and is the perfection of religion, and everlasting or eternally true. Because it's authorized, therefore it is a perfection and everlasting. If it wasn't authorized, then it's my word versus your words. But no, it's Krishna's words. And because it is authorized, because it is pure, because it is so confidential and the greatest knowledge, when you get this knowledge, you naturally feel joyful. You naturally feel such great joy in your heart because you realize that you have the truth. And there's nothing in this world that is more sublime, Krishna says in chapter 4, than the truth. Nothing in this world. So when you have that, you feel so joyful. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities are engaged in different stages and forms of sinful reactions. For instance, when the seed of a particular tree is sown, the tree does not appear immediately to grow. It takes some time. It is first a small sprouting plant, then it assumes the form of a tree, then it flowers and bears fruit, and when it is complete, the flowers and fruits are enjoyed by persons who have sown the seed of the tree. So, on the opposite side, those of us who are engaged in material life, we are sowing the roots, the seeds of something that later on will manifest and give us suffering. Similarly, a man performs a sinful act, and like a seed, it takes time to fructify. There are different stages. The sinful reaction may have already stopped within the individual. The sinful action may have already stopped within the individual, but the results or the fruit of that sinful action are still to be suffered. There are sins which are still in the form of a seed, and there are others which are already fructified and are giving us fruit, which we are experiencing as distress and pain. Right? So right now something is feeling really good, seems totally okay, but 20 years from now, 10 years from now, we will reap the fruit of it. Just like it takes a good tree, a plant, to become a tree and produce fruit, it can take 4 or 5 years. And that fruit, based upon the action that we are doing, good or bad, Krishna conscious or not, will give us distress or happiness. Faith is a complete conviction that simply by serving the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. That is called real faith. So the materialist is engaged in all these things. But as we had started off this class, in order to get this knowledge, in order to reach this confidential knowledge and this state of pure devotional service to Krishna, it all begins with faith. And what is this faith? It's a conviction that if I have Krishna, I don't need anything else. Simply by serving Krishna, we can achieve all perfection. Srimad Bhagavatam 4:31-14 says, this is also one of the definitions of Sharanagati, what we just read, that that seeing Krishna as our complete protector, our complete, everything. By giving water to the root, which is Krishna, of a tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs, and leaves. And by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses of the body. Similarly, by engaging in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all the demigods and all other living entities. Yes, see. So if others are dissatisfied with us, if others are not satisfying us, or we are not satisfying them, then the solution is to serve Krishna. If we serve Krishna nicely, intensely, the whole world will be satisfied with us, most imperceptibly. What's a nice example of this? That when the Pandavas were in the forest during their exile, to be in the forest, at that time Durvasa Muni came with his 80,000 disciples and asked them for food. The Pandavas were in the forest and Draupadi had already eaten, so their magical pot was not going to produce more food, nor was there any other source of food. And they got into great anxiety. They knew that this was a ploy of Duryodhana. He had sent Durvasa Muni to their hermitage so he would get angry and curse them if they would not supply him with food, which they couldn't. And so they began to pray to Krishna, the satisfying Krishna. That let us satisfy Krishna through our prayers, through our earnest remembrance of him. And then Krishna appears on the scene, just happens to be passing through. And then they offer him whatever they have, which is one grain of rice that's stuck on the bottom of the pot. And Krishna accepts that because they offer that to him with love. And when he becomes satisfied, then all the sages, Durvasa Muni and his 80,000 disciple sages, they all become satisfied. Feeling so blissful and happy, they leave without even coming back to Maharaj Yudhishthira and ask him for the food. So this is the practical example that by satisfying Krishna, we can actually satisfy the whole world. Now the next section, knowing Krishna's unique supremacy. Full dedication to Krishna is possible when one understands Krishna's unique supremacy. Right? It's not possible just, I'll surrender even though I don't even know really who Krishna is. How can you surrender to someone you're not fully convinced about? So one has to be thoroughly, deeply knowledgeable about Krishna in order to appreciate his supremacy. Text 4 to 5. Two very important points are given here. Everything is within Krishna, yet Krishna is not within everything. Everything rests upon Krishna, yet does not cause him any burden. This is the achintya part. Everything rests within Krishna, yet Krishna is not within everything. So, some people say because Krishna is in the deity form, then every stone is Krishna, because Krishna's within everything. So therefore, any deity, any stone is Krishna. But no, everything is within Krishna, yet Krishna is not within everything. So he's not within every statue. He's only within the statue that we worship. And then that statue becomes a deity because we are worshiping Krishna and there's a divine presence of Krishna in that deity. That deity becomes non-different than Krishna because he manifests himself in that deity form. As long as he is there, that stone is non-different than Krishna. But if he leaves, the stone will again become a stone. So now someone may say as a counter example, that as a counterpoint, but Krishna is inside every atom, right? Paramanu Chayantarastam. Krishna is the Paramanu. He's the soul within all souls. He is the life of every atom. So, if Krishna is within every atom, how is he not within everything? He must be within that deity also that someone is not worshipping, but no. This is the inconceivable part. He can be within every atom, yet he is not present in everyone or everything. His person is full of different potent energies, and his determination is itself actual fact. In this way, the personality of Godhead is to be understood. So, what does this mean? Whatever he wants is the fact. It's not like, in our case, there's a difference between what we want and what we can expect, what is reality. But in the case of Krishna, his wanting is the reality. Whatever he desires is what exists. There's no difference between his wanting and what actually takes place. Because he is perfect and complete, and whatever he wants immediately becomes manifest. So in this way, the personality of God should be understood as the person who is full of all the different potent energies. Sometimes it seems in different leelas of the Lord, Krishna's leela, all these things that, well, Krishna is just there, but he's not so powerful. But no, we should remember that he is the most powerful, the best of all. Text 6 illustrates these points with the example of sky and space. The atmosphere is contained within space, but all of space is not contained within the atmosphere. Similarly, everything is within Krishna, yet Krishna is not within everything. So Prabhupada gives this wonderful analogy. Although the wind blows within the sky does not blow away or move. Krishna, similarly, everything rests upon Krishna, yet Krishna does not become affected or burdened. Right? So everything rests upon Krishna, yet there's no burden for him. This is all susukum kartamavyam. For him, it is pure pleasure. For him, he's always in bliss and pleasure. He has no anxiety, no desire. It's we who needed this world and all these things. He's always blissful. So just like the wind is contained in the sky, the atmosphere is contained in space. Everything is contained within Krishna. In text 7 to 10, more details on Krishna's supremacy. Everything destroyed merges into Krishna. Everything created emerges from Krishna. Whether manifest or unmanifest, the entire universe is fully under his control. Yet he is not directly responsible for the good and evil done therein. He remains neutral and simply sanctions the material energy to punish or reward the living entities with good or evil as they deserve. And then Krishna then describes Duratmas, those who don't accept his path. Without knowing Krishna's supremacy, one will foolishly mistake him to be an ordinary entity. Jo pisannadhyatma bhutanam ishro prakritim swamadishtaya. Forgetting the last line. But they think that I am a human being. They mistake him to be an ordinary living being. He will therefore lose all devotional inclination, be overwhelmed by the demoniac nature, and achieve complete ruination. So such a person who is a Duratma is also Mudha. Prabhupada says in the purport for 911, foolish persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being do not know the confidential energies, do not know the confidential activities of the Supreme Lord and his different energies. They do not know that Krishna's body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss, that he is the proprietor of everything that be, and that he can award liberation to anyone, because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications. They deride him. They just think, oh, he's a human being. And that's the amazing part, that the hard part is not seeing Krishna. The hard part is recognizing Krishna when we see him. Recognizing that he is Krishna, he is God when we see him. During Duryodhana's time, Krishna was there in so many different forms and ways to help the Pandavas and destroy the Kauravas. But none of the Kauravas could see him to be Krishna. They just thought he's a magician or he's another king. They couldn't understand the greatness of Krishna. In the same way, we may say, oh, well, Krishna didn't show himself to us, but how do we know Krishna may have come 5 feet from our face but we didn't recognize Krishna unless we're qualified, unless we're dedicated fully and wholly to Krishna's um, devotional service. Moghasha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasa rakshasi masurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shrita. Translation: those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So Krishna always tells us the result of practice, going back to Godhead, getting Srimati Radharani's blessings, and he also shows the result of not practicing. And this is what the result is. The Mahatmas, on the other hand, those who know Krishna's supremacy, come under the protection of the divine nature, text 13, by constantly engaging in his service. So we can be under Krishna's material nature or a spiritual nature, but we must be under him. And if we're a Mahatma, we can come under his spiritual nature. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Amachitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantasya mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So these verses, they're telling us that the great souls are perpetually engaged. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. They take great raman, take great joy in conversing about Krishna. And if we hear and chant about Krishna continuously, we will also feel that great ecstasy within our heart. But a devotee of the Lord, an advanced devotee especially, is always engaged in such a way. When they converse about Krishna, it is described that in such conversations Krishna appears. When his devotees converse about him, that's where the Lord appears, in the midst of those conversations. He becomes so attractive when devotees talk about him. So it's not just about reading. We can also talk to other devotees. We can get some association somehow or the other. And that inspires the presence of Krishna. Reading as well, because we're doing it in association. We're reading with Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. They are eternal beings, and if we are reading their words, we're getting the benefit. But we can also do it in conversation and connection. So the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He is not under the control of the material nature. So actually, there's only one Maya. When we turn away from Krishna, that one Maya becomes Mahamaya. We're under Mahamaya. If we turn towards Krishna, that is Yoga Maya. The Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas, pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as the four-armed Mahavishnu. They are simply attracted by the two-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of a demigod or of a human being. So that is who Krishna is. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. Prabhupada says Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord. He has no other business. So everything is chanting. Everything must be chanting. That's when we can engage with it. So when we're giving a class, we are speaking about Krishna, that is also chanting. So it's not that the devotees, some sadhus, very senior sannyasis, gurus, we see that they don't do so much kirtan, maybe because of their voice, but they are continuously speaking about Krishna. Well, that is also chanting. Japa is also chanting. Kirtan is also chanting. So all these different activities, the activities that are actually in devotional service, are all chanting. And that's why the devotee has no business other than chanting. And if he's doing something other than service to Krishna, then he's not chanting. So that is all chanting. Eating Krishna Prasad is also part of chanting, because it inspires us to chant. We must chant before partaking it. And it is Krishna's prasad, it is his mercy. But there are others who are still lower than the 4 types listed in chapter 7, who surrender to Krishna, and these are divided into 3. 1, he who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord. He who concocts some form of the Supreme Lord and worships that. And 3, he who accepts the universal form, the Vishwarupa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and worships that. Out of the above 3, the lowest, those who worship themselves as a Supreme Lord, thinking themselves to be monas, are most predominant. So this is Mayavad. This is Mayavad philosophy. Number 2 is basically atheism, making a human into a god. And the third one is pantheism, worshipping the universe and the world, the universe as the body of God, so the universal form as God. That is pantheism. There are still others who neither fully reject Krishna nor fully accept him. So people are even in the middle, where they want to accept some form of Krishna that isn't fully Krishna. Like the monists, I am one with Krishna. They're accepting only the Brahma Jyoti and trying to become one with it. The demigod worshippers, Krishna has become many. The one becomes many, and so they're all God. That is incorrect. And finally, worshippers of universal form. Everything is Krishna. That is true, but Krishna is also beyond everything. Okay, wonderful. And this is the perfect time to stop. We did part 1 today. Next time we will do part 2. And it's exactly 8 o'clock here. So a perfect time to end. Now, if there's any comments or questions, I'm sorry, you may have noticed, maybe you didn't notice, I was a little tired today. So I maybe was not fully able to explain this chapter well, but let's proceed. Om, you are first.
No, Prabhuji, it was a wonderful class. I really loved it. I'm also pretty sleepy today. I was asking about, can you show the slide again of um, the acronym for
King?
the chapter, the breakdown?
Yes. I will
Thank
do that. Here we go. Is this the one you wanted?
Oh, yes, Prabhuji. And I wrote that down. Actually, I told you the wrong one. Can you show the one for the Sambandha Videya Prayojan?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. You're a good student. Thank you. Nita Charan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Dandat Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Prabhu, it's always wonderful to listen to you. I mean, you did not look tired.
Okay.
It's always like your enthusiasm is very contagious. Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank
So
you, Prabhu.
my question is, fifth verse, right? Krishna
Yes.
says, "Yet everything that is created does not rest in me." You know, you gave the analogy of clouds and the sky, right? Clouds are part of the sky. The sky is not part. That is understandable. But this is a little confusing. Why are we not resting on Krishna? Because elsewhere, Krishna also says he is the actually
Yeah.
string of all pearls tied
Everything
together.
else.
So, is he not the support system for all of us?
So, are you reading directly from the translation, or where are you reading from?
No, on the translation, on the Veda base,
Yes. Can you read it again, what Krishna is saying?
9:5. And
Yes.
yet everything that is created does not rest in me.
No, read also the first part.
You mean the purport or?
No, the first part. You're reading from yet, right? Yet everything is not. So, what is the first part that he's saying?
And he says, right? And yet everything that is created.
Yeah. So, I mean to say, please read the translation from the beginning, the whole translation.
And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation.
Yes. Yeah. So this is precisely why this slide is here. It's to show that Krishna is the resolution to this contradiction. This is why it's inconceivable, because as you are correctly reading, and also we have to read the verse before that, Krishna is saying everything is within Krishna. If everything is within him, has to be resting upon him, right?
Correct.
Everything is within Krishna, so it has to rest upon him. And then he says, like you are saying, that it does not rest in him. So then Prabhupada explains that devotees understand that Krishna is saying it in the sense that everything rests upon me, yet it does not cause him any burden. In other words, it rests on him, but at the same time, it doesn't rest on him in the sense that there's no burden there. It doesn't rest on him because it doesn't limit him in any way. It doesn't burden him in any way. So Prabhupada here is explaining that this is the way to understand it. It's like Krishna says, I'm one with this world and I'm different than this world, right? He says this in the Upanishads. He says this here in the Gita. I'm one with this world and I'm different than this world. That's also contradiction. He's saying everything rests in me and everything does not rest in me. That's also contradiction. How do we understand it? Well, we understand he's one with this world, yet he's different. Prabhupada, what's the resolution he gives? He's one in quality, he's different in quantity. He's one with this world in a sense in quality, everything is emanating from him, but everything is not him, therefore he's different. So everything rests on him, everything is within him, yet everything does not rest upon him because he's free. It's not like when he's walking around, he's got 10 universes on his head, and that's why he's trying to keep them balanced. No, it's resting on him, it's within him, yet he's also transcendent. He's beyond it all. So it is a contradiction, but Krishna is able to resolve it due to his inconceivable nature.
Got you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Nice point that you pointed out. Ananda Gopika Mataji?
Can I ask you one more question if you don't mind?
Sure. Yes.
So, susukam kartavyam, right? joyfully
Kartumabhi.
performed.
Yes.
In 529, Krishna says, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam, right?
Mm.
So he is the ultimate enjoyer. So Susukam Kartavyam, is it Krishna to be Krishna's the enjoyer, or are we the enjoyer? Or how do we view it? Like, is it like you gave another slide, Bhagavatam verse, right? When you water the
Yes.
roots, we get nourished as well.
Mm.
So
Yes,
Susukam word,
very
please.
good point. So this is because we are not seeking to be enjoyers. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam is there. When we are trying to be the bhokta, then it messes up, which means we are trying to keep ourselves in the center. What Susukum Kartumavyam is saying, it is the very nature of bhakti. That if we're doing bhakti, if we're actually doing bhakti and not, karma yoga or karma mishra bhakti, or if we're actually doing pure bhakti, then it will fill our heart with joy. So it's not saying that we're trying to be enjoyers. See, there's a difference there between being enjoyers and being filled with joy. The process of bhakti fills our heart with joy because we are not trying to be enjoyers. The materialist is trying to be the bhokta, the enjoyer, and therefore their heart is miserable. You see? So the effect is the opposite because the intention is the opposite. And one of them is just in touch with Krishna, and Krishna is Ramayati Rama, that Krishna is the source of all pleasure. So if you're going to come in touch with the source of all pleasure, you will feel pleasure. Just like if we jump in the ocean, we may jump in the ocean to save a man, right? Our intention is not to, jump in the ocean for our pleasure. But if we jump in the ocean, we will get salty. That may not be our intention, but we will get salty if we jump in the ocean because it's filled with salt. You get very salty. In the same way, if we're actually doing bhakti, Bhagavad Gita is saying this is the test, that person will be joyful. Because if you jump in that ocean, it is the ocean of bliss. And if we're actually in the ocean, we will become happy. That is the nature of it.
Jai Prabhu, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Ananda Gopika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the beautiful talk today. Prabhu, I had the question for 9:15, where it says and you explained it nicely. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second, as diverse in many, and in the universal form. And then in the purport, Prabhupada writes that besides the pure devotees that we read in Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, there are 4 others that we read in chapter 7, the Artho Artharthi Jigyasu, and then these are the 3 others who are still lower. And my question is on the universal form, that and that kind of boggles me. Why is it lower? Because even in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, it starts off with Sukhdev Goswami talking about the universal form and recommending to see Krishna in the universal form. So if you can, is it because it's the lowest stage, or is it why is it not recommended?
It's because, see, the Artha, Jigyasa, Artharthi, those are all coming to Krishna. They're coming with some motivation, but they're still coming directly to Krishna. Shama Sundar Krishna, Vasudev Krishna, Krishna as the person. Those who worship Vishwarupa, they're worshiping matter.
Okay.
Now, of course, they're worshiping it as God, so they have a sense that the whole universe is God. But they have no sense of a higher destination. Pantheists, they worship the world because for them, it is the ultimate end. They're worshiping the world because the world is everything, the energy, the light. Basically, you could say even physicists, even Einstein was a pantheist. They worshipped, the world as absolute, as unlimited, as, there's what is absolute. Like we say Krishna's absolute, they'll say the law of gravity is absolute. So it's basically worshiping, they're saying gravity is God because gravity is absolute. Everything else is relative. Well, the laws of physics are absolute. Let's put it this way. So they are a different type of you could say materialists, they're much more advanced because at least they're accepting that there is a God and there's something divine about this world, but they have lost the transcendent part of the Lord.
Mm-hmm. And Prabhu, in chapter 7, when Krishna says that I'm the light of the sun and moon and I'm the taste of the water, so he's saying it's the essence, but he's connecting matter with himself. So is that we see matter and then we see Krishna's, it reminds us of Krishna's personal form, or is it the same as the universal form?
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong in appreciating Krishna in this world. But he's saying, I am that, meaning that I am in that, you can experience me through that. But because he's saying that I am that means that he exists separate from that. In other words, he is transcendent and he manifests himself as a taste of water, etc., etc.
Okay.
So even Prabhupada used to appreciate the sunrise or the sunset. So beautiful. See, this is Krishna coming in the form of sunset.
Okay.
But not in place of Krishna, as Krishna's.
Okay. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for clarifying it.
Nice points for everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Bhavya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for the class. My question was from the previous chapter, actually. Chapter 8, verse 16, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has a sentence that those who are in Brahmaloka who do not cultivate Krishna consciousness must return to earth. So I was curious because I always understood that Krishna consciousness can be only practiced, when you have a human birth, or rather, that's one of the perks of, having a human birth is it is conducive to practicing Krishna consciousness. So I just wanted to clarify, is it actually like it in any of the upper planets also it's possible? It's just that there is so much enjoyment to be had that it's harder to cultivate?
Yeah, and it also depends like which type of planet we're at. So both points are absolutely correct, what you're saying. Some places it's harder. And in the scriptures, in some places, it clearly says that there's so much pleasure, like in Indra Lok, that it's like impossible to focus on Krishna. Very difficult, not impossible, very, very difficult. But if you go to Satya Lok, for example, it's all filled with sages. Lord Shiva's abode is full of sages. So there are certain sections or pockets that are more spiritually inclined than others. But it is a fact that the human form of life is the easiest, and that's why we can progress from the higher planets, and that's why devotees often go to the heavenly planets, and then from there they perfect it and go upward. But it's much quicker to go directly from Earth. That's why we don't want to waste this human life. We don't want to waste this life or delay it or think, maybe I can get it next time, because we don't know if we'll have such a fortunate situation of us being in a human form and having Lord Chaitanya's mercy and being able to go back home, back to Godhead.
Yeah, thank you so much. That makes sense, Prabhu.
Thank you. Amazing point, actually. This is a good reminder for us. We should get very serious. As Lord Chaitanya's mercy is here, if we miss this opportunity, what will happen? We get, even within Krishna consciousness, we get so easily sidetracked. We miss the point, that the whole point is just to get pure love for Krishna and get out of here. The rest of the things don't matter so much. They're details. So yes, thank you. All right, so we'll stop here. Thank you, everyone. Next time we'll finish chapter 9. Please keep reading and doing the homework. And we will see you next week. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
That's for now.